Good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. It is yours truly, Omen Enraged, bringing you a World of Tanks or not so World of Tanks gaming kind of video, but more on the lines of the recent drama incited across World of Tanks. As I put in the title, as the Wargaming CC drama is crazy, and it most certainly is. And what I mean by that is, well, you guessed it, what happened on Thursday, which had something to do with one of the community contributors, and of course, Wargaming itself. So before we get started, I'd like to just point out that this particular person, who is this community contributor, is known as Ayuxin, and there has been times where I've watched his streams. He's raided me when I've been live, so it is as it stands. So, on the 19th of June, which was the Thursday, Ayuxin ends up getting the message that he's been kicked from the CC program by Wargaming. And obviously, in relation to that, it was more or less to do with the Ramfault loot boxes about a month ago, where Wargaming introduced a tiered loot box system in the game, and as you know, every man and his dog didn't like what Wargaming did. And I do remember there were CCs amongst regular WOT players complaining, and I complained as well. Ayuxin complained also. So, before we get into any more, the links are going to be down in the description of Ayuxin's YouTube and his Twitch. Feel free to give him any form of support. I'm sure he would appreciate that. As you probably know full well whose side I'm taking and what I believe is right and wrong. Now, before we carry on with what happened with the Ramfault loot box system in relation to Ayuxin getting the sack, let us take down a stroll down memory lane. Let's hop into the time machine or the TARDIS. Let's go back a few years, or let's rewind the clocks, shall we? On a first bit of drama that happened between another content creator and Wargaming. And this was more or less to do with overpowered tier 8 premium tanks. Oh yes, I remember that all too well. And I'm pretty sure most of you do as well, on who you know I mean. And obviously his name was Sir Bosch at the time this drama happened. And what ended up happening was, in that situation, obviously he called out for how irritating the overpowered premium tanks are. Well, I'm pretty sure it was one of them at the time. And what happened was, for some strange reason, Wargaming NA gets involved after Foster had the video put up. And what they did was, they ended up threatening copyright strikes on his channel, which obviously is kind of threatening to have his video or his channel taken down, which isn't really a good look. And Wargaming ended up becoming the enemy in this story, as they made probably one of the most dumbest mistakes ever imaginable. Now, I'm not here to full on berate and insult Wargaming, but we've got to do things to a professional level. So here we are. Now, you might think I'm some kind of, who the hell's this guy? But I'm actually going to be your therapist for today on the whole drama situation. Think of it as a timeout. Out of your day, just to listen to what I have to say, if of course you're around World of Tanks and the community itself. So, let's go back towards today. Since we've, the last drama spout Wargaming had, which was a few years ago, let us go back to the present day. So, I've managed to connect the dots and pieces of the puzzle together in what's really been going on since the Ramfault loot box system entered the game at the time. And obviously you could get 7 tanks. But you already knew that. So, in this circumstance, it all started with Wargaming putting the event in the game. And this ended up multiple people, CCs, complained about it. They were against Wargaming and all this, and to be fair, they were. And then, maybe a day or so later, next bit of drama about it comes out. The Wargaming Discord server absolutely went into nuclear meltdown mode. And yeah, that kind of said it all. And that was obviously linked with another YouTuber. The next part was more or less to do with some of the CCs coming out and saying, well, we'll review the tanks afterwards. After the event is gone. And in response to this as well, Iuxin didn't want to review these tanks. He didn't even want to look at them. And I can't blame him for that whatsoever. I don't think anyone can for that reason. And I ended up watching his whole video on him going out of the CC program. And the amount of support he's ended up getting is insane. People might be saying, oh, but he's just doing it for clout, and it's like, well, hang on a second here. Did he really expect and know that he would be kicked off the CC program? And why did it happen? And this is my next point. So, this video that I used to put up about don't spend money in his loot boxes or boycott and whatever have you, I'm pretty sure that is what he said. And I do remember. So somehow, this video ended up either getting translated into Chinese or someone sent a clip over to Chinese YouTube, obviously known as Bilibili. That's what they call it over there. So Chinese YouTube, Bilibili, and the video ended up going across to there, and somehow Wargaming China picked it up. And what's happened is Wargaming China have probably gotten back in contact with Wargaming EU to say what has been going on, and that somehow this certain rule ended up getting broken. So Wargaming EU acted and ended up sacking Iuxin from the CC program. Furthermore, my verdict on somehow Wargaming trying to get in the hands on that video is why are they getting involved and how they got involved. Now, what I mean by that is there may have been a snake in the grass somewhere that might not have liked this particular stream or content creator, whatever you want to call them. I mean, Jesus, I'm insulting a bloody snake here. I'd rather bloody Wargaming be a bloody reptile petting zoo. I'd rather have it be a petting zoo than the absolute bloody those things that call themselves Wargaming employees or whatever you want to call them. So yeah, that ended up getting surfaced all the way over there. They stuck their nose in where it pretty much didn't belong. And here comes the best part. Oh yes, that magical rule number 8. Hashtag number 8. Rule number 8, ladies and gentlemen. Let's call it that. So, you're probably wondering, what is this rule number 8, Orman? Well, obviously CCs and community contributors have to follow certain rules and guidelines, right? Of course, obviously you need rules to have a bit of control, right? But in the sense of this rule, berating or insulting or it ended up falling on the lines of that. So that's what rule number 8 was. So most of us ended up assuming or getting the idea that, oh, because he didn't support the Ramfalt loot box event, I didn't buy any of the tanks or review them or even take a look at them, Wargaming had the gall to remove Iuxin for the CC program, probably because of it. And I'll tell you this. myself, I am no Wargaming sympathizer. And I know they're not trustworthy. I've been saying this all week when I was live. Not a sympathizer, I choose not to be. I'll stay in my own lane. And here's the thing. I'm no community contributor either. And hell, I probably wouldn't even be able to get community contributor because I'm quite hot-headed sometimes when I get angry on my game. And I've not been green with jealousy about it whatsoever. I don't really care if I was a CC or not. And even if I was, my opinion on all this would not change. And if I got the sack, I would be like, well, I don't really generally care. I'm not going to sell out. Now, maybe CCs, other CCs, may have their general opinion on this, on what they think really happened or what went down. But I'm not going to name names. I don't need to name names. I don't think there's any point in that on who's right or wrong about opinions, but I'm just going to say, God help you if you defend Wargaming. May as well have your arms and legs cut off. No fun allowed. But this gave me another thought, that Wargaming had the goal to use someone as a scapegoat because they didn't agree with the loot boxes. And oh my word, boycott. Oh my word. I'm getting so offended by that word. Rule number 8. Oh my word, remove him please. Probably some sensitive snowflake probably ended up being the one who had to deal with it. And if you're a clever enough person, one must understand that we're living in a sensitive society. So there are going to be sensitive people out there. Yes? No? Well, I must think there are. And I don't understand how that seems to have caused offence whatsoever. And here's the thing. When I look at Ayuxin as a person, not as a World of Tanks player or as he was a CC, I'm going to say this. Ayuxin does not come across as one of those kind of people who's some kind of intimidating bully. I find that very hard to believe. I really do. And with his approach to the game, I mean, for Christ's sake, he's a married man. Do you really think he's going to be out there wanting to waste time berating Wargaming? How is that even possible? And I'll tell you, I know when someone's a bully. I do. But Ayuxin certainly isn't one of those people. Absolutely not. Wargaming are the ones seem to be the ones coming across like that. And obviously making them the enemy of the story once more. And people are not even surprised anymore whatsoever. They're just not. So what's ended up happening is people now are squabbling over whose side to take. The ones who are taking the victim's side, well, you're not blind to see the truth what Wargaming are like. But if you're defending Wargaming in the slightest, you really need to ask yourself, are you being true to yourself? I mean, seriously? With the amount of time that you've had, where you played World of Tanks and you have time to think about this? So any CC could have their own opinion, other CCs, and may end up defending Wargamer, but that guarantee they'll get called a sellout, an absolute Wargaming worshipper. Let's be a bit sensible about this, okay? Let's not go down the dirty road. Let's keep it clean. And it's made me realise Wargaming is finally becoming an answer to that trivia question. Who did Wargaming sack and use as a scapegoat when they didn't agree with something? So yeah. And everyone knows probably obviously by now at the time of this video what side I've taken. And it's very clear. I have connected all the pieces of the puzzle. I think the aspect has been analysed. Every corner of the aspect has been analysed. And I'll tell you this. Losing your community contributor status isn't exactly a death sentence. It's not. It's like losing your job pretty much. And obviously, it's not a nice feeling. In real life, this tends to happen. And most of the time, it ends up being the excellent to brilliant staff of workers that end up biting the dust. Most of the time. And people think, well, obviously there's a reason they have done something wrong. But that's not always the case. I mean, this rule number 8 that Wargaming have got in the CC program, someone's got to be sensitive. And obviously doesn't like the word boycott or telling people, oh, don't even fall for the wrongful tiered loot box system. Don't waste your money. And that person's getting punished because he had an opinion about the event. Because Wargaming cannot take criticism. I think if you can't take criticism in any way, you've already lost. And judging by the amount of support Iuxin's been getting, I would say he's definitely winning. Even though he lost his CC status, technically he's still winning because people are going to give him endless amount of support, people are going to side with him. People might say, oh, but Armin, he's doing it for clout. This is just a tactic. Is it a tactic? Or do people actually make it quite obvious to know that Wargaming is not the good guy in the story? And they're not exactly the innocent party. They're gonna... I don't know if they'll pretend to even be the injured party whatsoever. But I will say... it absolutely isn't the end for Iuxin. No way. He can lose the CC title, but... going forward, he'll still stream, he'll make his numbers... and people will give him endless amount of support. I was there that day when he posted that video, which was yesterday, and ended up watching the stream. Got about 2K people watching, but the amount of support he ended up getting from his own community and the World of Tanks community was just as what I thought. I just thought, well, if he's getting that support, then Wargaming's obviously the bad guy. I mean, it's very, very hard to defend a company like that in this situation. It's alright people saying, oh, but Omen, they've got to make money somehow. Yes, but at what point does it get too much and it's promoting predatory monetization tactics that is absolutely evil and disgusting? And it most certainly is. Gambling is a dangerous addiction. And yes, people spend money to gamble with a chance to try and win a tank. Wargaming, I already said Wargaming last month became a casino. And yes, as I've said, gambling can mentally destroy you. It can make you financially broke. So you've got to be so careful nowadays. And people would rather save their money than to promote a toxic event like that. I was one of them. I didn't spend a single dime in that event. I stayed true to my word and didn't buy any of the tanks. Because I thought, you know what? There are way better things that I could spend my money on. And there is. The Discord drama that Wargaming had last month as well, trying to compare it, oh, you buy something expensive, it's just the equivalent. And it's like, don't compare buying something expensive in IRL to this event that you've put in the game. Because the difference is, in IRL, you could buy something that isn't particularly gambling. A chance to win something. Unless you're going on the lottery, or you are going to a bingo. And I will tell you this right now. Any CC, maybe in a few months' time, if Wargaming puts a tiered loot box event in the game, and trust me, they will find a way. Someone else could bite the dust because they disagreed by promoting something that they don't want to. and it doesn't get any more disheartening than this, then you could have your opinion, tell people not to put money towards it, it's toxic and it's disgusting, it's disgraceful, and you're going to lose a title or kicked off a program because someone at Wargaming got sensitive. Oh, he's not promoting our stuff, let's just get rid of him. That's probably what they ended up thinking. Now, it might end up being that maybe if Wargaming decide to revoke it and put Ayuxin back in the CC program, I would probably say all is forgiven. But the longer Wargaming don't do that, the worse it's going to get. And of course, they won't have learned anything that after what happened with the Sir Foss drama a few years ago. They'll have learned nothing. This isn't the first time Wargaming has proven to be clumsy. And I think this is just another dumb mistake that they've made. People may as well say, oh yes, but what if Ayuxin did this? What if he did that? Ayuxin doesn't look like that kind of person that would be griefing Wargaming. Be serious. He's the top player on EU, server number 1. Number 2, he was one of the most educational people around World of Tanks that could tell anyone that to do this, this, and this, and it would make him better at the game. Like I said, you sack your brilliant staff of workers, you end up paying for it in the end. And let's say if Wargaming decided that other CCs got the sack, probably it won't happen, but it might happen at the same time. And if they were biting the dust one at a time, there would be a massive problem. And somehow, when all is quiet, they decide, oh, it's a bit quiet around here. Let's rub our hands together and let us create some more drama. They seem to have an unhealthy addiction or an illness or some kind of disease to drama. They must love it, I'm sure. Whether that is conspiracy or not, I'll let you decide that. And to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I don't really have much else I can really say. But that's pretty much everything that I've talked about regarding the drama and the side that I'm taking. You obviously know what side I'm on, as I've said before. So, I guess for everyone else, anyone who is clever enough will be on the right side of the fence. Anyone's on the wrong side of the fence, if you're a CC, I genuinely will feel sorry for you. I will. But it's best to be honest and have honour than be fake. That's all I'm going to say. People will say, oh yes, fake it to make it. It'll just show that that will only show what type of person you are. And there is this in the back of my mind that feels like there's some hypocrisy element floating around. I just don't know where it's coming from. I sense it. It's making the back of my head itch. Maybe I need to condition my hair a bit more. It might be all the dandruff falling off. Anyways, I hope everyone understands what really went down. I tried to make this sound as interesting and make it make sense as much as I can. I just hope this video finds most of the WOT community, and maybe more people will also understand about the whole situation. And the last thing I'm going to do is sit on the sidelines and not say anything. This time around, I've said something, and whether or not I get clipped up or if someone disagrees with me, let them. I'm not fussed. I know what side I'm taking, and that is the final decision. Now, there is a 3-way cycle that I've also picked up too, about things that happen in World of Tanks. So, Wargaming gets bored, they put an event in, create some sort of drama, part 1. Part 2, the World of Tanks community has an aura emitting great rage. And 3, the boycott brigade jumps in. Let's boycott the whole of World of Tanks, and then guess what happens after that? The whole cycle repeats. It's a never-ending 3-way cycle. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, you want to provide any support to Yuxin, links are in the description. Thank you for all watching. Hopefully I've tried to make this sound crystal clear and transparent as much as I can. And I'll leave you guys to decide what to do with it. So, like I said, you choose whatever side you think who was in the right and who was in the wrong. But it's becoming more crystal clear now who's right and wrong. Anyway, chat. Let's try and bring us what community members. Let's try and not stay in our own lanes. What I'm meant to say is, let's try and get mostly on the same page. I know that sounds like an impossible task, but let's try not create any more divide than there already is. Otherwise, there's going to be more pointless squabbling, and it will never change. Alright? As for World of Tanks, I don't think World of Tanks, from the game point, the game's not in trouble. It's just, Wargaming seems to have caught fire. That's all. By sacking the wrong guy. Anyway, guys. Peace out. Have a good day. And I will catch you, next time when I'm live. At 6:30. Monday. Let's get it. See you all later, chat. And ladies and gentlemen, peace out.